What if I told you the world's richest man once showered at the YMCA, slept on an office floor, and nearly went bankrupt chasing rockets and electric cars? This is the unbelievable rise of Elon Musk, from a bullied boy in South Africa to the man building our future on Earth and beyond. Welcome to Visionary Steps 09, where real stories feel unreal. Imagine being a kid, not dreaming about toys or cartoons, but about rockets, about electric cars, and changing the world. That was Elon Musk. He grew up in Pretoria, South Africa. Born in 1971. From the start, Elon was different. He wasn't loud. Not the popular kid. He didn't like sports. Didn't care about fitting in. He was quiet, curious, always thinking. While other kids played outside, Elon was reading. And not just picture books. He read for hours. Science fiction, space, physics, technology. He once finished an entire encyclopedia. Just for fun. Even at that age, he wanted to understand the universe. But school wasn't easy. He was bullied. A lot. Kids would push him, hit him. One time, they beat him so badly, he had to be hospitalized. But even then, Elon never gave up. He stayed focused, stayed curious, kept dreaming. At age 10, something changed. He got his first computer. A simple machine, nothing fancy. But Elon saw it as a window to the future. He taught himself how to code. Not with a teacher. Not with YouTube. From a book. By age 12, he built a game called Blaster. It was basic. Shoot the enemy. Protect your ship. But the crazy part? He sold it to a magazine for $500. That was his first step into business. The first moment. He realized he could build something from nothing. But life at home wasn't easy either. His parents divorced. Things got tense. He had a difficult relationship with his dad. So Elon escaped into ideas. Books. Computers. Dreams of space. He said once, "I was raised by books. Books, and then my parents." While other teens worried about grades or clothes, Elon was asking big questions. Can we live on other planets? Can we power the world with the sun? Can artificial intelligence help humans or destroy us? He wasn't just smart. He was obsessed. And that obsession would change his life. He believed in something many people laughed at. That humans are meant to go beyond Earth. That Mars was possible. By the time he was a teenager, Elon had already made a choice. He had to go to America. To him, the US was where big things happened. Where the future was built. Where he belonged. So he started planning. At 17, he left South Africa. Moved to Canada first through his mom's citizenship. He worked odd jobs. Struggled. But he didn't quit. He was getting closer. Closer to the place where his dreams could finally take off. What's powerful about this part of Elon's journey is that it didn't begin with fame, or money, or power. It began with pain, with loneliness, with questions. It began with a kid sitting alone in his room, building things no one asked for. Solving problems no one believed in yet. Chasing ideas that seemed impossible. Elon wasn't born a billionaire. He wasn't handed success. He built it. One idea. One code. One dream at a time. And this? This was just the beginning. At 17, Elon Musk left everything behind. No safety net. No fancy plan. Just a suitcase, a dream, and a belief that his future wasn't in South Africa. It was in America. He had this idea that the US was the only place big enough, bold enough to make his dreams come true. But first, he had to get there. Through his mother's Canadian citizenship, Elon made his way to Canada. He worked on farms, shoveled grain, cut logs. Hard jobs. Long hours. But he didn't complain. Because every day, he was one step closer to his real goal, the United States. Eventually, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. That's where everything began to shift. He studied physics and economics. Two very different worlds. But for Elon, both were connected. He didn't just want to understand how the universe worked. He wanted to understand how the world worked. And how to change it. While other students partied, Elon stayed up late, reading research papers, sketching ideas. His roommate once said, "If Elon said he was going to build a rocket, I believed him." Even back then. After college, Elon got accepted to a PhD program at Stanford. He packed his bags, moved to California. It seemed like the perfect next step. But then, something happened. It was 1995. The internet was exploding. A digital revolution was starting. And Elon felt it in his bones. He looked around and thought, I can't sit in a lab for 5 years while the future is being built outside. So he dropped out. After just 2 days. Everyone thought he was crazy. But Elon had an idea. He started a company with his brother Kimball. They called it Zip2. It was simple. An online guide for newspapers. Kind of like Google Maps. Before Google Maps existed. They didn't have much. No real office. They slept on the floor. Showered at the YMCA. Worked 20 hours a day. They had no money for a place to live. So Elon slept under his desk. Every single night. But he didn't care. He had something more valuable than comfort. Momentum. Bit by bit, Zip2 began to grow. They knocked on doors, pitched to investors, sold their idea to anyone who would listen. And in 1999, it paid off. Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million. Elon walked away with $22 million. Just like that. He went from sleeping on a floor to becoming a millionaire. But here's what makes Elon different. He didn't celebrate. He didn't relax. He didn't even take a vacation. He went back to work. Because money wasn't the mission. The mission was to change the world. He used his earnings to start a new company. An online banking system. A wild idea at the time. He called it X.com. People didn't get it. Send money by email? Pay bills online? In the 90s, that sounded insane. But Elon didn't care. He wasn't building for the present. He was building for the future. X.com would later merge with a small company called Confinity. That company had built a product called PayPal. You've heard of it, right? Eventually, the team chose PayPal as the main brand. Elon was the largest shareholder. But things behind the scenes got messy. There were disagreements, power struggles. Elon was pushed out as CEO while he was on vacation. He came back to find someone else in his chair. Most people would be devastated. But Elon? He moved on. Because soon after, something big happened. eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. And Elon walked away with $180 million. Just let that sink in. He had now built and sold 2 companies before the age of 32. But he wasn't finished. He had money now. A lot of it. But instead of buying a mansion, or an island, or retiring at 30, he took that money, almost all of it, and poured it into 3 crazy ideas. SpaceX, to make space travel possible for anyone. Tesla, to build electric cars that people actually wanted to drive. And SolarCity, to power the world with clean energy. Investors told him no. Friends told him he was being reckless. Even his family begged him to slow down. But Elon didn't listen. He once said, "I'd rather go broke building something that matters than stay rich doing nothing." And he meant it. He wasn't building companies for profit. He was building solutions. Solutions for energy, for transportation, for humanity's future. This wasn't just business anymore. It was personal. It was purpose. It was obsession. And once again, the world had no idea what was coming next. After the sale of Zip2, Elon Musk had made his first real fortune. $22 million. He was only 27. For most people, that would be the finish line. But for Elon? It was just another starting point. He didn't go out and buy a Ferrari. Well, actually, he did buy a McLaren. But he crashed it. No insurance. He laughed about it later. But the message was clear. He wasn't in it for luxury. He was in it for impact. So, in 1999, Elon launched his next company. It was called X.com. His vision? To completely change how money moved. Banking, but online. No paperwork. No waiting in line. Instant, digital, global payments. Back then, that sounded insane. People were barely using email. Online shopping was risky. Online banking? Unheard of. But Elon didn't care. He believed the future would be fast, cashless, and borderless. So he put $12 million of his own money into X.com. It grew fast. But there was competition. A smaller company called Confinity was also working on digital payments. They had a product called PayPal. Eventually, the 2 companies merged. That's when things got messy. Elon was CEO of the new company. He pushed hard for the X.com brand. Others preferred PayPal. Tensions grew. While Elon was on a trip flying across the country, the board made a decision. They voted him out as CEO. Just like that. Imagine it. You invest millions. You build the company. You grow it. And they kick you out while you're in the air. Most people would walk away. Angry. Defeated. Not Elon. He stayed. Quietly. Worked behind the scenes. Watched. Learned. And when eBay came calling in 2002, PayPal was sold for $1.5 billion. Elon walked away with $180 million. Now stop and think about that. He had just turned 31. And already, he had built 2 major tech companies. And cashed out with millions. But here's where the story gets really wild. Because instead of retiring, instead of relaxing, Elon did something no one expected. He bet everything. Everything. He took $100 million and started SpaceX. He invested $70 million into Tesla. And put $10 million into SolarCity, a solar energy startup led by his cousins. Almost all his PayPal money gone. In 3 bets. 3 long shots. 3 crazy ideas. Space rockets. Electric cars. Solar power. Everyone told him he was nuts. You're going to lose everything. Rocket companies always fail. No one wants electric cars. Stick to software. But Elon wasn't listening. Because this time, it wasn't about business. It was about the future. He believed that if we didn't change how we live, we wouldn't survive. We needed clean energy. We needed sustainable transportation. And we needed a backup plan if Earth ever became uninhabitable. He said, I want to die on Mars. Just not on impact. People laughed. They called him a dreamer. A weirdo. A rich kid playing astronaut. But they didn't see the hours. They didn't see the sleepless nights. They didn't see the obsession. Elon was all in. He wasn't just funding these companies. He was building them. Hiring the engineers. Reading the manuals. Sleeping on the floors. SpaceX wasn't a side hustle. It was his mission. Tesla wasn't a car company. It was a movement. And this wasn't about getting richer. This was about purpose. But it came at a cost. He poured in money. Time. Energy. Relationships strained. Stress piled up. He faced failure after failure. And still, he kept going. Why? Because when Elon Musk believes in something, he doesn't stop. He doesn't pause. He doesn't ask for permission. He just builds. That's what separates dreamers from doers. And Elon? He's both. By 2008, everything was on the line. SpaceX rockets were exploding. Tesla was bleeding cash. Elon was almost broke. But he never regretted the risk. Because he wasn't investing in companies. He was investing in the future. This was more than a business plan. This was a mission to save humanity. And nothing, not even failure, was going to stop him. By 2008, Elon Musk was on the edge. Not the edge of success. The edge of total collapse. He had put everything on the line. His money. His energy. His reputation. His sanity. And now, it was all falling apart. Let's start with SpaceX. The dream was bold. Build rockets. Make space travel affordable. Go to Mars someday. But building rockets isn't easy. It's brutal. expensive, unforgiving. And when SpaceX finally launched its first rocket, Falcon 1, it exploded. So did the second one. And the third. 3 rockets. 3 failures. Millions of dollars gone. Investors backed away. News outlets called it a joke. Competitors mocked them. People said, "This company's done. Elon Musk has no idea what he's doing." But behind the scenes, Elon wasn't quitting. He worked alongside engineers, slept at the factory, read rocket textbooks at night, took every failure personally. Because for him, this wasn't just a business. This was a mission. But the hits didn't stop. Tesla was in trouble too. The economy was crashing. 2008 was the year of the global financial meltdown. Banks were collapsing. Investors froze. And Tesla? It was barely holding on. They were building the Model S. The car Elon believed would prove that electric vehicles could be powerful, sleek, and cool. But suppliers wouldn't get paid. Employees were getting laid off. Production stalled. Some weeks, Elon had to choose between paying rent or keeping the company alive. He once said, "I had to borrow money from friends just to pay my bills." Imagine that. You're the founder of 2 futuristic companies, and you're borrowing money just to buy food. People around him started leaving. Friends, investors, even some team members. He was losing more than money. He was losing trust. And on top of it all, his personal life was falling apart. He was going through a divorce. He had young kids. And every day was a storm of stress, pressure, and uncertainty. He said, "That was the worst year of my life. Emotionally, financially, everything was going wrong." At one point, Elon had $20 million left. Sounds like a lot, right? But here's the catch. Both Tesla and SpaceX needed funding. Right now. He could save one, but not both. Investors told him to let one go. Pick one, they said. SpaceX or Tesla. You can't do both. But Elon didn't listen. He took that last $20 million, split it between the 2 companies. A move that most people would call insane. But he wasn't thinking about safety. He was thinking about survival. And then, against all odds, something incredible happened. SpaceX launched its 4th rocket. This time, it didn't explode. It soared into orbit. Success. For the first time in history, a private company had launched a liquid-fueled rocket into space and reached Earth's orbit. That single moment changed everything. NASA noticed. Just weeks later, they awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. It was the deal that saved the company. SpaceX was back. And not just back. They were on the map. Then came Tesla. On Christmas Eve, 2008. A last-minute deal came through. Investors agreed to keep Tesla alive. Barely. It was a miracle. In the same month, both of Elon's companies were pulled from the edge of death. He had risked it all. Nearly lost it all. But somehow, survived. And he didn't just survive. He built. Over the next few years, Tesla launched the Model S. It won awards. It blew minds. And SpaceX? They kept launching, kept learning, kept pushing boundaries. The companies that were once jokes were now changing the game. But it's important to remember, none of it was easy. None of it was smooth. None of it was guaranteed. Elon Musk was this close to losing everything. And what pulled him through? It wasn't luck. It wasn't money. It was belief. Obsession. A refusal to quit. He once said, "Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up." Elon wasn't forced. So he didn't. That's why this part of his journey matters so much. It shows that success doesn't come in a straight line. It comes through fire, through chaos, through moments where quitting feels easier. But he didn't quit. He stayed. He fought. He built rockets while people laughed, electric cars while experts doubted, and a future while the present tried to break him. This wasn't just a comeback. This was the birth of Elon Musk. The visionary. The builder. The guy who almost lost it all and came back stronger. Underscore 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 underscore. After the chaos of 2008, Elon Musk could finally breathe. But not for long. Because now, it was time to build. No more just surviving. No more fighting to stay alive. Now, he was ready to lead. And the world? It was finally paying attention. Let's start with SpaceX. Everyone thought it was a fluke. One successful rocket launch? Lucky. But Elon had other plans. He didn't want to launch a few satellites. He wanted to revolutionize space travel. And to do that, he needed to make rockets reusable. Think about it. Every time a rocket launched, it would fall into the ocean and be lost forever. Imagine if every time you flew a plane, you threw it away afterward. That's what rocket science used to be. Until Elon came along. His idea? Land the rocket. On a platform. In the middle of the ocean. And then, use it again. People called it impossible. Too risky. Too expensive. But Elon didn't back down. In 2015, after countless failures, after fiery crashes, after landing legs collapsed and boosters exploded, SpaceX did it. A Falcon 9 rocket returned to Earth and landed upright. Not in a lab. Not in a simulation. In real life. History was made. From that moment on, SpaceX wasn't just a startup. It was the future of space. Then, in 2020, they launched humans, NASA astronauts, on a private rocket from American soil. That hadn't happened in nearly a decade. And Elon? He was emotional. Tears in his eyes. A dream he had since childhood. Now a reality. But while rockets soared into the sky, another revolution was happening on Earth. Tesla. After the Model S came the Model X. Then the Model 3. Then the Model Y. Each car sleeker, faster, smarter. And suddenly, electric cars weren't weird anymore. They were cool, desirable, the new standard. Other companies scrambled to catch up. Governments began banning gas vehicles. And Tesla? It became the most valuable car company in the world. All from a man who was once told, "No one will ever buy electric cars." But Elon didn't stop there. While building Tesla and SpaceX, he was also thinking ahead. Way ahead. He started Neuralink, a company that's building brain-computer interfaces. Yes, you heard that right. Tiny chips that could help humans merge with AI. Restore vision. Reverse paralysis. Possibly even unlock memory. Sci-fi stuff, right? But with Elon, sci-fi turns into science. He also launched the Boring Company, a company that digs underground tunnels. Why? To solve traffic. Imagine zooming through a tunnel beneath a city. No noise. No traffic lights. Just fast, silent travel. Again, people laughed. He just smiled. And then came Starlink, a global internet network powered by thousands of satellites in orbit. Built by SpaceX. Controlled from Earth. Providing high-speed internet to places that never had it before. Villages. Mountains. War zones. All online because of Elon Musk. With each year, his influence grew. Not just as an entrepreneur, but as a symbol. A symbol of what's possible when you dream too big. And go for it anyway. He once said, "When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor." And he lives that every single day. He works 80 to 100 hours a week. Sleeps in the Tesla factory. Reviews designs himself. Answers emails at 3 a.m. This isn't some billionaire who checks in once a month. This is someone in the trenches. Building. Breaking. Rebuilding. Again and again. And yes, he's controversial. Yes, he's made mistakes. Yes, he says things that shock people. But through it all, he keeps creating. Because Elon Musk doesn't wait for the future. He builds it. From a bullied kid in South Africa to a man who launched rockets into space, created the most talked about cars on Earth, and connected the globe through satellites. Elon's story is proof of one thing: that crazy ideas, backed by relentless work, can change the course of human history. He's not done. Not even close. Mars is still calling. And Elon? He's already packing. Thanks for watching. If you're inspired by stories that shape the future, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. This is Visionary Steps 09, where ambition meets action. See you in the next story.